Hi, welcome to another episode of Your Opportunity Partner. My name is Professor Art Gogatz, and I've been your host for the series. Today, we're going to talk about something that's really important in terms of opportunity that we don't really think about a lot. And that's, do you really stay with it or do you give up once you try the opportunity and you don't get much success? Most people, they don't fail. I mean, I'm a professor in a university, and I can basically tell you that most of the students in a university, they don't fail a course. Professors know that. There's a theater about, oh, you're going to fail the exam and you're going to fail the course. The only students who fail are the ones who give up, who don't try, who don't make an effort, who don't come to class, who don't do the work. Almost every student who makes an effort, who tries, even if they don't get good results, most professors pass them. Why? Because they tried. So most of the time, it's not really that we try and we don't have success, but after trying and not having success, we give up. And it's that which is really difficult. The fact that we ourselves give up, abandon what we're doing. Now, before we get into some of the details on this, and I give you some examples, if you do like any of these videos and if you do find them helpful, please do subscribe to the channel, like if you can, leave a question or a comment in the form for me. And if anyone leaves a question, I'll surely address that in these videos. So please do participate. Now, let's go back to some statistics and some information about people, both at work and in school. If we start with education, when we look at a doctoral program, I do consulting for doctoral programs in France. And when we look at the statistics worldwide on doctoral programs, that's PhD and DBA, you're looking at a dropout rate worldwide of about 45%, which means 45% of the people who start a doctoral program give up. They abandon it. They don't fail. They just don't finish. Why? Well, often because it takes a long time. Average time to get a PhD runs a little over 6 years. They're not sure what they're doing. They're just working with the professor. Professor says, no, you got to change this. You got to do this over again. And because it takes so long, um, they get discouraged. They get frustrated. And they tend to just give up. Now, that's not only true on doctoral studies. If we look at the statistics also for the dropout rate in university of undergrad, oh, it runs somewhere close to 25% in the first year of undergrad in the US. I saw a statistic, excuse me, the other day where it said that 39% of students worldwide don't finish their undergrad programs. Um, so the dropout rate in university after high school, because in many countries, high school is mandatory. But when you get into higher education, which is no longer mandatory by most governments, dropout rate tends to be quite high. How about in business? Well, in business, we're looking at a big turnover in many areas of business. Won't get into specifics on it, but you know that a lot of people leave their jobs. A lot of people get laid off. A lot of people get fired. Business is basically um, a compromise in many countries, not all, where the company can terminate you at any time, or you could leave at any time. It's a really agreement that says we give you the freedom to go, but we also give us the freedom to make you go, which means you can quit. They can't keep you there. Sometimes you sign a contract and theoretically you're supposed to be there. But basically, I mean, I've worked for people who had contracts and left, and they didn't really have much penalty. You have the lawsuit, but uh, it's basically you can leave and they can fire you. That's basically business in the private sector in most countries. Now, in business, people get fed up. They get discouraged, same as in education. They don't see the value in what they're doing. They don't think they're being paid enough. They think they have to work too hard, too long hours. Boss yells at them, scolds them. They give up. Uh, it tends to be called quiet quitting. It used to be called payback, where an employee gives up. They don't really want to work anymore, but they have to because they need the money and they're afraid they won't find another job. So what do? They stay. They're just unhappy. And so they don't try very hard. It's called civil servant attitude sometimes also. Civil servant is someone who works for the government and progress is slow and the job is not interesting, but it's a job and they can't get rid of you and you can have the job for life. So people who work for the government usually don't try very hard and the motivation level is not there. So we're really talking here about motivation in education because the people who are really motivated to get their degree will get it. And also in business, it's the same thing. Are you motivated enough to keep going? Well, a lot of people are not. They just give up, but they don't leave. They stay. That's difficult because when you're working in a company and you're not really happy in that company, and again, statistically, that's most people in the world, it's not easy. Why? Because you have a bad attitude. You make the work environment sort of toxic for everybody around you. You complain a lot. You try not to do very much. Work isn't fun. Work isn't even enjoyable or even okay. You don't want to go to work. And when you don't really want to do something, people know it. It shows in your work. And eventually in work, if you really don't want to be there, you'll be one of the first to be let go. So again, we can say, well, I didn't quit, I got fired. But why did you get fired? Because management knew you didn't really want to be there. So it goes back to, again, quitting on something. Now, I'm a consultant. I work a lot in business in different places in the world. And one of the things I really hate when I do consulting, especially for startups and small businesses, is when they tell me, oh, we tried that, didn't work. How many times have I heard that as a consultant? Almost every time, which means almost every company I've worked for, sometimes when we come up with a good idea or we say, well, maybe this is what we should do, somewhere along the line, somebody always says, we tried that, it didn't work. And then I say, how many times did you try it? Once. How did you try it? Makes a big difference because if you tried and it wasn't really the right way to try, or the conditions weren't good for having that attempt, it's not going to work. Also, my advertising and marketing background tells me that normally you see an ad, you look at a product, customers don't go out and buy that product or use that service immediately. They don't say, wow, and I want that, and go buy it. It takes time. It takes different ads. You don't see an ad once, you see it again and again and again. And it comes out to, you don't usually get success the first time. I mean, I've talked about this in these episodes before, but it's really, again, really important. We look at sports. I've said you don't go out usually unless you're really very talented and play a new sport well the first time or even the 10th time. It takes you a long time to get really good at anything. And what happens a lot is, well, we don't have good results. We play tennis, we play golf, we play football, we play any sport, and it doesn't work, and we give it up. I remember when I first started teaching, it was in France, and I was working at the business school in the University of Nancy. And a lot of the people there in those schools, because they're private education, they come from a very strict selection process in order to get into the business school. And I remember asking my students, why are you studying business? Because when you look at it, if you ask a child who's maybe 5 or 6 years old, what do you want to be? No one says a businessman or a businesswoman. Maybe the only ones who do would be parents who own a business. Okay. But nobody at 5, 6, 7, even 8 says, I want to be a businessman. Okay. And I asked the students, why are you studying business? And they all said, because I wasn't good enough at art, because I wasn't good enough at music, because I wasn't good enough at something. Which means business wasn't their first choice, wasn't even their second choice. And they didn't go into what they wanted to be because they didn't get good results. They gave up. Now, we can talk about family pressure. And yes, that's true. There's always family pressure to tell you, oh, well, you won't succeed. I mean, I studied art. And when you study art, almost everybody will tell you, you're going to starve. You're not going to make it. It's not going to work. Same thing for many, many professions. And do you really give up? Now, in the question of giving up, let's also look at another area, which is relationships. Do you give up on the relationship? Most times, and a relationship is not easy, having a partner, dealing with family members, even with colleagues, it's not easy. And do you sometimes say, I can't take it anymore, I'm fed up? Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get divorced. It doesn't mean you're going to quit if your boss is difficult. Although, of course, there's the statement, people don't leave their companies, they leave their managers. Okay, but if you have a problem with your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, do you give up? Many people do. And that changes your relationship. You don't leave it, you don't quit, but you don't try anymore. There was a song, way back into, I think, the 60s, an American song by a small group of 2 people called the Righteous Brothers. And the name of the song was a popular song, was You've Lost That Loving Feeling, which means instead of saying, I love you, and really believing and feeling it, You're still together, you're still okay, but you've lost that spark. I ask sometimes, are you in love? And people may say, yes. I say, well, it's not love, it's in love. It's a big difference. You can love somebody. We love our parents, we love our friends, we love many people, but we're not in love very often. In love means, oh my God, you think about the other person every couple minutes. They're the focus, they're the center of your life. You would do anything for this person. You just enjoy everything with them. You don't enjoy traveling and being alone. Why? Because they're not there. Wow. Being in love means you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to go to Paris. You don't need to go to Venice, which is romantic. You can stay anywhere and sit in the corner of a room. As long as you're with that person, you're great. Not just fine, you're great. That's all you need is that one person. Okay, now we always have some people in our lives where we're in love with them. How long does that last? Doesn't last forever. Why? Because one or both of you quit. There was too many things that you just didn't like. I mean, you can't like everything that your partner does, but you know it's the right person when you love the things you hate about them. And this is the same thing with work, with studies, with projects. You need to stay with it. When I first, and it won't be easy all the time, when I first went to Europe with my wife, left a good job in the US, and we didn't have jobs or much to do in Europe, but we wanted to live there. I talked about this on a previous episode. It wasn't easy. We ran out of money, had nothing, had to do with very little. I got a job tutoring, making some money by teaching English to a couple of students. And then we met more people. And then I got into somebody who recommended me to teach. And I started at the Chamber of Commerce, then the university. And because I taught really well, I was in demand by many, many areas of that university. And my career took off in education because I found I was a good teacher. But I could have given it up and gone back to New York and gone back to working in marketing or advertising as I had been doing before, but I didn't. Why? Because I liked teaching and I liked Europe, and I wasn't ready to say, I'm going to give up. You are marked by how much you want something. I always say when I teach, I'm not going to give you a grade based upon your knowledge of marketing or strategy or human resource management or whatever I'm teaching. I'm going to give you a grade based upon how much you can convince me you want to learn this subject. Because if you really want something, you're going to do well. And if you don't, you're not going to do that well, unless you're super talented or you're lucky. I, as a professor, want people who are super motivated. It's really, really important. Now, we'll pick this up on a future episode, but thank you for today. Really do appreciate it. Take care. See you next time.